You think you can beat me in soybeans? Forget about it.
We do have 2 tropical storms or hurricanes coming in the Gulf. May get a lot of wind, a lot of rain, so who knows what's going to happen.
You know, I'm a 6th generation farmer. Can I keep expanding? What can I do? What am I not doing right?
I'm confirmed 6th generation farmer. It's stretched pretty thin right now. It's just that time of year.
It's not gonna be hard to beat Weaver. He's not even in my realm of thoughts. Like, pick out the worst plant. That should be how Weaver's crap looks.
You want to know why the right side is longer? It's got more geese in it. So let's see what we got out here. Welcome to Podfathers. I'm Perry Galloway, and we're in Arkansas, and I've got with me my good friend Sonny Malone, who's with Sugar Creek Ag, sells a lot of organic acids, humic acid, and fulvic acid products, which we use. Today we're going to harvest some beans. The field's to my right. I've always felt like this field's a little better, so hopefully they are, and we'll have some 100 bushel yields today. I do feel like these beans have a lot of potential. That's a nice sized bean. That ought to be 2,800 to 3,000 seed per pound. So we kept them clean, kept them watered, maybe monitored with some tissue tests, some nutrient levels, and corrected those as needed. And then kept them disease-free. We use Revitec at 8 ounces, I believe, is the rate, and it keeps these beans healthy all the way to the end, almost too healthy. A few hours here, we're gonna do a yield check out here and hoping for big results. The field sure is clean, wink, wink.
Perry, I know weather plays a big factor when you guys can get in the field, when you can harvest all that good stuff. When did y'all get this planted this year?
I'd like to start planting mid-April. That seems to give us our highest yields. But these were planted May the 11th, so they're a little later than optimal. But this is a good field. I think it'll produce close to what we're looking for. I have actually had some May beans that yielded in excess of 100 bushels. So I hope today's one of the days we can find a spot out here that'll do that.
The later planting, does that play into you making a decision to apply certain products to push that crop along, or is that just something you believe in regardless of?
No, I kind of have a program. It may be in my mind, it may not be written down, but I kind of know, and with 30 years of experience, I kind of know what the plant needs. Again, this is a good field. It doesn't take much to make a great yield out here.
Looks good. They're loaded for sure.
So the only problem I see out here in this field is hurricane damage. We had a hurricane come in mid-August, I guess, and as you can see, they all have a lean to them, and some of them are actually lodged. I feel like you lose a percentage of yield even if they're leaning naturally with no wind. I just like the erect plant. I don't know what it does. I don't know if when the plant leans over, if the leaves on the plant shades the lower pods on the adjoining rows. I assume that's what it is, because inevitably we always feel like we lose yield if we get even a lean, certainly if they get lodged. This year I'm being optimistic and hope they were mature enough that they were able to fend off some of those yield robbing issues.
I'm sure it's a little bit of stress on that plant anyway.
Yeah, I mean, they were chest high. I mean, they dry down, they're waist high, but we get 50, 60 mile an hour winds in one night. Actually, a tornado went through just half a mile south of here. You know, the next morning, I come out here and these suckers were all twisted up and tangled up and flat. A lot of them stood back up. If you look down the rows, some of them are standing up, but on the ends, and there's a swath out through the field, they're down and tangled. So, unfortunately, I feel like that's gonna cost us a few bushels. Hopefully not much, but they still look good, and I hope I'm wrong.
Revitec is a brand new product from BASF. We're really excited for that.
Revitech is going to be able to help growers stretch yields more than they have in the past.
The number one name of the game should be reducing stress. You reduce stress, you increase yield.
I'm excited about Revitech. We use it on every acre.
We're looking at upwards of 60 days control.
It's going to take great farmers and just propel them so much further than we've ever been before.
We do have several things going on. Today, we're picking peanuts, we're digging peanuts. We've got 4 combines in the soybeans. We've got 2 combines in the rice. And then we've got this picker running here. So we've got, 6, 7, 8 harvest machines going today. We've got a lot going on. Monday, we'll probably start 6 or 7 tractors in the field, going behind these machines, fixing ruts where we've made ruts. We've got a 1,100 acre rice farm that today is the 30th day that we've been there. Traditionally, that farm would have been cut with 2 machines in probably 7 days, and it's took us 30 days to do it. We went, when Laura brought the 60-mile-an-hour winds and the rice went down, we went from cutting 70 acres a day of rice, standing rice, to 20 acres a day down rice. That's probably today, after battling 6 combines this year with a hurricane, I'm gonna say that's probably my favorite thing about the cotton is it's pretty self-sufficient on the harvest. I like cotton underwear and I like towels. I would hate to know that I had to dry off with a polyester towel. So I like what we do with it, when we get it ginned. It's just something that's been in my blood that I can't get out of it. So each lock has, 5 to 7 seeds in it. And basically, when it goes through the gin and the saws take all the lint off of it, it's gonna look something like this, okay? And then they will take that to a seed processing plant and completely de-lint it, and treat it with, fungicides or whatever, and that'll be exactly what we get back. Just like seed production in corn or anything else, that'll be exactly what we get back. Let's kind of show you what you're dealing with, and the diameter of it. So you can imagine trying to decompose that, like all the rest of the grain and stuff is. And it's a perennial crop, so see, you can tell it's already growing back. It's regrowthing back. So even though you'll see where we're cutting them down 2 to 3 inches, this plant will actually will continue to live. Even though it's frosted on, it will come back next year because it's a perennial plant. It's a whole different beast than everything else we grow. But this is what I grew up on. This is what I used to say cotton's what brought us to the dance, because it really is. That's where I started as a kid, is on cotton. Cotton was our main crop, and soybeans was kind of a stepchild. If your land wasn't good enough to grow cotton on, you grew soybeans. We were growing beans on our poor ground and making 30 to 40 bushels an acre. Beans went to $13. We started putting them on our cotton ground and paying a lot more attention to them. And we found out that you more than double your yield if you really pay attention to what you're doing. We're just basically determined, by the weather and by our irrigation. Irrigated bean around here will be 70 to 90 bushels, and a non-irrigated bean around here will be 10 to 25 bushels. So that tells you how much difference. Corn, 2 to 250 irrigated, non-irrigated 75 to 100. So if the good Lord ever takes our water supply, then we're probably gonna be having to look at something else to do besides grow crops. But that's one thing we do have is a good water supply. We really try to be conservative with it. We try to have as many tailwater recoveries, recirculating ponds to recirculate the water, use a lot more groundwater, where we can, because we don't want to get in a situation where we're short water, because when we get to that point, we'll have to probably choose another. Maybe cattle will grow here. We can fence all this in and grow cattle. You know, it's a big risk, and a lot of people just don't want to deal with that risk. And I'll be honest with you, there's been times when I didn't want to deal with it either, but I've always grown a little bit of it even since corn and bean prices went up, simply because that's what my dad done. And I know y'all hear that a lot, but you know, he was my hero and this was his crop. It's just something we like to do, high risk, high reward.
I got together with them. We've got a pop-up blend, and there's some special stuff in it, and I made it specifically for this.
With Monty's, we have trusted advisors, and we get that relationship.
Working with Temple on this field of beans, we've got a very good root development. I mean, that's awesome looking.
Monty's carbon, I wouldn't farm if I couldn't use that.
We're just south of Cedarville, north of Jamestown, kind of in between here, right by our shop. There's about 575 acres of beans right here in this one area, and we won't have to take the head off. We'll just continue to go field to field. To be honest, you know, it's some of our best dirt that we farm is right through here. We just didn't get the rains, but it's got the soil that can last longer than most soil without the rain. This is showing what could have been in this area. And then, you know, with this new Revitec coming on, it's been great. Protection will be able to last that much longer, and the plant health benefits. You know, this year, you know, it did the best it can. We feel like it did give us extra protection, but at the end of the day, there's not a product that can make it rain. So it kept it alive longer. I feel like we've done the best that we could do for this farm without spinning ourselves stupid. So all of our beans are 20-inch rows. We plant our corn 20-inch rows. We plant our beans 20-inch rows. You know, in about 20 minutes, we can be switched from one crop to another. Just the biggest thing that we look for now, though, on beans, on being 20-inch rows is, you know, we want a bigger, bushier bean. A few years ago, I want to say 2012 to 2011, we was planting 180,000 beans. You know, a lot of people were saying, let's go lower. So we went to 160 and it yielded better. Went down to 140 and it yielded better. A very nice guy, Ryan, he worked at Beck's at the time. He came out, he said, let's do a test plot and we'll make a little block square. He said, you know, just for fun, let's throw one in at 100,000. I said, okay, let's do it. It's not gonna work though. We did it in 100,001. It was the highest yielding one and it was the biggest ROI. You know, on my acres, I started heading down to that 120 area. Still didn't trust the 100. So I waited, you know, and Dad was a little slower to adopt, but we kept coming down because it was just, you know, in his days, he's planted 220, 240. So for him to start coming down, you know, that was a pretty good achievement. And then so the following year, we did another test strip. So, well, hell, let's just throw one in there that we know it's not going to win. Let's throw in 160,000. Now, it didn't win, but it was the highest ROI. Was the 60,000, and it only got beat by like 2 bushel. In the past 3 years, the genetics have really changed on these beans. They're getting taller, they're getting bushier, they can handle more stress. The yields have definitely gone up, you know. So that's one thing that we're trying to do, you know, is have our populations down. So this field here has an average population of 80,000. This planted May 5th, had a lot of early rain, so we did lose some areas. But, you know, I'm trying to control the height of the bean so they don't start lodging. There's still so much to learn, about the beans. For me personally, it was a lot easier to reach 300 bushel corn than it was to break the 100 bushel bean mark. So when I hear other farmers out here, you know, in that 150 area, it's fun for me to watch from them and hopefully learn from them. This year, I actually have higher corn population than I do beans. 5 years from now, is that going to be the norm? I don't know. You know, we talked about this 5-10 years ago, and you guys would say I'm nuts for having 60 to 80,000 beans out there. What we're trying to do, especially on 20-inch rows, so we know we got the 20-inch gap side by side, but now, you know, we want at least an inch between plants, you know, or as close to it as we can on our good soils. And we variable rate everything, so we can be on a farm, you know, in the good black bottom ground. We can drop that baby down to 60, 80,000 plants, and then we're going up that clay hill where the CEC is going to drop between 6 to 8. I want that population of that bean to go up to 140 to even sometimes 160. By crowding it so much, we'll take it from a big bushy bean to just a single line bean, and we can do that within the population. We do use in-furrow products. We want to be able to plant our beans first. You know, beans are strictly harvesters of sunlight, so the earlier we can get them out there, the better. You know, they're going to have a longer growing season for that. You know, get off to a good start, and then we can stress them, make them go through hell.
Cory owns a crop consulting company called Advanced Yield, and we've been working with Cory for 2 years now.
Advanced Yield's a lot more catered to customer-specific needs, not just everything fits all program.
Cory is very competitive. He likes to look outside the box.
If you're willing to go outside your comfort zone, there's different things that he'll suggest, but they'll work for you. I'd say go for it.
One of the better products that we've seen come out here lately is Veltima from BASF. The thing I like about this is how long it's going to last in that plant. It can give me a longer window to make that decision. I'm really loving it.
Veltima has the longest residual of any product out there. Let's control something that we're able to control this year.
Veltima reduces stress in the plant, reduces the temperature. Happy corn makes more grain.
So you want to talk about cherry picking a plant? I mean, this little sucker right here on the end that's all by itself and got a little bit of water is ankle to shin high and probably has 200 pods on it. So I don't really put a lot of stock in somebody that says they've got 200 or 300 or 400 pods for a plant. We got to find a good plant. That's not a good one. Well, they all look good till you get up close to them, and you say, maybe not. Well, I was just gonna comment on this root system. We weren't going for roots, but I mean, look at that tap root. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty nice, especially since the plant's dead. We're looking pretty good. At one time, I think it was $10,000, but that was a long time ago. Yeah. If it was $10,000, we'd be out there on our hands and knees looking for 5 bean pods. Like, Sonny, what are you doing? It's gonna take a whole episode to show this. 32, 34, 84, 6, 92, 94. Plus there's some bonus ones, another 20 or so there. So right at 200 pods. So, if every plant out there had 200 pods on it, let me just do the math for you. It's gonna be a big number that we'll never hit, so.
Hey, if the weather doesn't cooperate, you know, at what point do you start Worrying about, may not be able to get it in.
We've harvested soybeans up into December. There's quality problems. I mean, these are pretty beans. Here's one that busted open. I mean, that's a perfect bean. And when we harvest, we'll get a sample. But I don't even see any Cercospora in it, which is the purple seed stain. I mean, look at those. Those are good beans. So we had a big dew last night, so we're getting a little wind now. The dew's gone, a little wind, so we'll dry out and hopefully be able to harvest, something within the hour, just to kind of see what we've got out here. One year, the very first time I broke 100 bushels, I made 101 point something bushels. And it joined the field, and I said, man, if that one made 101, there's no telling what this one's gonna make. So I went out and did this count, and real conservative, and I came up with like 140. I said, yeah, I got this. In the meantime, my consultant said, you ought to check this field over here. So we went over there and checked it a few days later, and that year, and it made like 105 or 6 or 7, I can't even remember. And I was like, man, you just wait till I cut this next field. That's the one that's really gonna show out. So we went up there the next day and cut it, made 98 bushels.
I'm Cheryl Albrock, and I'm Steve Albrock's wife. And he was my husband for over 29 years. Since Steve's death, my whole life has changed. Through the years, we've had a lot of great friends like Perry to help out. And Perry had given me lots of advice to help me through some situations that no one should have to go through by themselves. I loved being a farmer's wife. I loved being able to stay at home and be hands-on on the farm too. We got to spend a lot of time together, and that was very important to me. Steve farmed. That's what he was born to do, was farm. He was a national yield winner for many years. We grew cotton and corn, and then we had wheat for cattle. And the last years, he grew sorghum. Steve was a stickler about wanting all his corn to emerge within 12 hours of each other. Steve's tagline was, "Don't leave yield in the field." In 2016, the last yield, his corn yield was 459 bushel. He did good. He was a good farmer. Every year, me and him both would go through his planter and replace parts that needed to be replaced and make it like it was brand new so that he had a good start for a good yield. He did all the work himself, and what he did, the little things he did with meaning.
There's not really a secret to it. You get out of farm what you put into it, okay? My goals are always high, they always have been. I work to achieve them. I don't know what else to put that, it's just the way I am. And anybody can do what I do if they just put their mind to it and do it.